Gavel, gavel.
Okay. Good afternoon. Certainly like to call the Airport Special Management Committee special meeting together today. I'd like to call it to order. And if you don't mind, and stand, and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. We had two of our members who could not be with us today, but we do have a quorum. Right, Counselor, down there?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. So we're ready to go. And so this being a special meeting, a little unatypical from the normal, we'll jump right into the administrative agenda. Steve, if you'd like to make an introduction.
Yes. So I will introduce Emily Underhill. Ms. Underhill will introduce the item for the 3 presentations we have scheduled today.
Good afternoon, everyone. For the record, Emily Underhill. Thank you again for coming to today's special meeting to hear oral presentations. Last week at the regularly scheduled October 15th Airport Special Management Committee meeting, this committee provided their endorsement of the scoring of firms for the RFQ solicitation number 24-0085 Project Support Services for the RSW Terminal Expansion Phase 1 project. The 3 top scoring firms were the following: Parsons Transportation Group, Inc., Answer Advisory Consulting, LLC, and Ancora Consulting Group, LLC. At the same Airport Special Management Committee meeting, the committee also agreed to hear oral presentations by the 3 top scoring firms at a later Airport Special Management Committee meeting, which was agreed to be today's date. A random order of presentations was selected, and if there are no further questions, then I would ask Robert George to come forward and assist with the order of the presentations.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Board. For the record, Robert George, Procurement Manager. Presenting today in order will be Answer. Speaking for Answer will be Dan Malloy and Daryl McDonald. They have in attendance also Tara Keeling and Andy. Andy, you're going to have to pronounce your name. Claymore. Second up will be Parsons. Presenting will be Jeff Kaiser and George Rios. Third will be Anchor, Steve Pinello, and Michael Gasper. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Answer, Dan and team.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting us to present to you this afternoon. We're excited to be here, and we're looking forward to potentially helping the airport team on this Phase 1 terminal expansion program. My name is Dan Malloy. I'm the aviation lead for Answer Advisory. I'd like to take just a short time to tell you a little bit about Answer Advisory before turning it over to our project manager, Daryl McDonald. Answer Advisory is owned by Accenture. We're a wholly owned subsidiary. What's that mean? We operate separately, and we continue doing what we're doing, although we have access and support from the broader Accenture team whenever needed. So Answer itself is a project management firm. That's what we do. We focus on that in multiple different industries, including aviation, obviously. We have 1,200 professionals nationwide. We have 22 national offices, and we've worked at 25 different airports and growing, working on programs that value in excess of $20 billion. As I said, we do project management. We work with each client. We understand every airport is different. No two are the same, and each client needs something different. So we strive to listen and pay attention to what the needs of the client are and then provide those resources. And we do it trying to engage local team members as well when we do that. Drilling down a little bit in Florida, we have 3 offices. We have almost 175 people in Florida, and we have a lot of active projects. More importantly, right here in Lee County, we work for the county and we work for the school district on Hurricane Ian projects and repairs. We also just started work in Madison County up north doing the same thing after Hurricane Helene. Airport-wise, we work at Orlando Airport. We've been doing program and project controls at Orlando Airport for almost 15 years on their $4.6 billion program, and part of the overall program management team there. And lastly, FGUA, working right across the way here, your neighbor, Lehigh Acres. We're working with them to, amongst other FGUA projects locally. So that's a brief history and synopsis of what Answer is. Our aviation experience, you saw this in the proposal we submitted, so I won't spend a lot of time on it, but we've highlighted a couple of the columns that we believe talk directly to the services you may need and may desire from our team, and you can see we've done that at small and large airports across the country, excuse me. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our project manager, Daryl McDonald. Daryl is an architect. He has designed terminals. He has also worked with a major construction manager at risk construction firm that builds terminals in the aviation industry. So he has a wide breadth of experience, and I think it's very suitable to this project. So with no further ado, Daryl.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having us here today. I would like to share a little bit about each of my core team members that you see here. Tara Keeling is going to be our program control specialist and our construction manager. She specializes in driving great processes into her programs, currently doing that in Charlotte right now, and has also worked here in Lee County previously for the FDOT and on the waste development here. Andy Clemall is our national pre-construction manager. Andy will be assigned to this team to help us drive great estimating protocols and cost accountabilities into the program. He is also a resident of Florida and has been here for over 20 years and has significant background working on the construction manager at risk side of the table, also for a national aviation terminal builder. Dan is going to be available to us for overall project execution and claim support. He's managed over $15 billion of capital development programs as an owner at an airport in Atlanta, and is also very experienced in leading negotiations on the claims and risk management side. Let me tell you a little bit about me, since I'm going to be managing the program here. I've got 38 years of experience designing and managing terminals in Florida. I've also done terminal programs nationally and globally, but I'm going to focus right now just on what I've been doing in Florida over the last couple of decades. Tampa International Airport, I developed and designed the Airside Terminal E program and design build environment, and also delivered the recently as part of a construction management and design build program, the Conrack and automated people mover that you may have seen up there at Tampa International, and managed the design on that program. At Orlando International Airport, I delivered the Airside 2 project as their project manager, cradle to grave, and also worked on the South Terminal Complex Phase 1 original planning and design on that program. Other Florida airports that I've worked at, which are not up there, would be Fort Lauderdale doing concourses B and C, and also was on the design team that delivered the Northwest Florida Beaches International Airport. That was a new airport up in Panama City. So a lot of experience in Florida and understanding the regulatory and the permitting issues related to the risk environment that we all build in here and live in also, as far as wind design and structural design and all of the things that go along with that. So what do we do? What can we bring to this program? Well, first off, we want to come in and we want to listen to you. We want to understand the current status, where you are, and listen to understand exactly what's going on. We understand that you want strong staff augmentation to fill in the slots that you need support with, and we'll bring that. We can flex that team up and down depending on the workload and the tasks at hand and what you need at the time. But we do that through a very collaborative nature as part of the team, engaged into the team, delivering a whole set of services that we believe that can actually benefit you here. Our pre-con team is, we believe, is second to none, managing cost at a very high level and very efficient and very effective. We're going to skip a little bit here. I'm going to go down to some of the execution and the phasing. We know that you need to deliver a new phasing schedule here that's going to coordinate very well with your phase 2 program so that the interfaces are properly managed, they're predictable, they're assigned, and they're accountable to the parties that need to make those interfaces happen and be successful. So we know how to do that. We're doing that at a number of programs right now. We know how to work adjacent to other programs that are ongoing. We'll lead and show how to get to the new GMP that is predictable and cost certain. We also will lead through any contract negotiations that are still to be accomplished. We can help with that and lead that for you. Ending with operational readiness and transition. We have good partners and internal team members that know how to overlay that into strong performance. Some of the solutions where we've provided opportunities and betterment for our clients is, first one is San Antonio and the project execution side, bringing strategic leadership and all the way up through airline use and lease agreement negotiations. At the Greater Orlando Airport Authority, we've been there for over 20 years doing financial compliance, auditing, grant management monthly at the amounts of $41 million a month during the South Terminal program. Quality control in Des Moines. We resolved a major discrepancy between the program and the budget and figured a plan for them to deliver that program on time, but with a better phased approach that allowed them to accomplish that program. And that program is succeeding successfully. Our commitment to you is that our team is in this community and we're still deeply committed to being in this community and the growth and development in Lee County. And we want to bring that experience from our capital improvement program delivery and specialized aviation experience to the airport here as a continuing part of our commitment to this community. We have over 20 years of living and working here. I'm a native Floridian, so I've been here all my life. Deep understanding of the local market conditions, and I believe my time is up. Thank you.
Okay, questions?
I don't have
John? Yes,
Okay.
John?
I know you don't have an office located here, but would your plans be, should you receive this effort in terms of staffing and location in this area?
Our commitment to you would be to be here when you need us to be here. Every one of my team members here are committed to be here as many days and as often as we need to be here to accomplish this program and provide you the support that would be required to get the results that we all know you need.
And you would be you as the manager would be located where?
As long as I need to be, yes.
Where are you?
Where am I located? I'm in Panama City, Florida right now.
Do you have other major projects under management that are your responsibility?
I am currently transitioning that to another person right now, and that transition is almost complete. Can be complete within 2 to 4 weeks.
Does that mean you'll be full-time committed to this project?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
What do you believe are your unique qualities to handle this project? I mean, we've got 3 highly qualified firms. Why would we select yours?
And I'm going to ask Dan to chime in on this a little bit, if you don't mind. But this is our sandbox. This is exactly what we do in our aviation group, and this is the only thing that we do. We specialize in delivering these sorts of programs and guiding clients and owners through this process, putting efficient processes in place that are highly precise and make them so that everybody understands the governance on those processes and how to drive decision-making to make that program move forward with everybody's buy-in. Dan, you want to add to that?
As Daryl said, this is what we do. I think we need to recognize another perspective we bring, though. Many of us on our aviation team are former airport employees, so we understand the environment that the aviation team has to work in, with all the different stakeholders involved and all the different nuances of getting a project done. It's not just about design and construction. There's a lot more that goes into it, and we totally understand that. As Daryl mentioned, I ran the development program in Atlanta for 15 years. We had problem projects. We had good projects. We had all sorts of projects, and you learn through those experiences. So we can now bring those experiences and solve problems and focus teams to execute. We learn the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we can now bring that to support the team here.
What are we, good, bad, or ugly?
You're good.
I mean,
You're beautiful.
my pre-Halloween.
So, any other questions, Scott?
No, thank you.
So I don't think so.
Fran?
I
Okay.
think I'm okay.
If I might ask a couple of questions, please. The anticipated services of this contract is really to involve you as acting as an extension of our staff
Correct.
here,
Yes, we understand that.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So just tell us how your firm has performed in a similar situation to carry that out and carry that through.
Well, actually, that is how we normally perform. We come in as an extension of staff, either under an executive program management scenario. And what we like to do is to sit with the team when we first, become engaged, do a pre-work meeting before we ever start that helps us understand and identify where you're struggling and where you need, our sort of expertise at. We do what we call an assessment. We look at the governance of how you're making decisions and how quickly those are moving through the process and how those can apply to the processes as we move through delivery, because we may need to suggest some changes at certain points. So we would do that in a collaborative manner with you as a team. And that's the way that we perform, is as a team, not coming in trying to manage unless that's what you need us to do. I mean, that's what we're doing in San Antonio.
Yeah, I was going to say a couple specific examples, if I may. San Antonio, we have 4 people embedded with the San Antonio team. We sit in their offices, we take direction directly from them, and we do extension of staff work. That's what we do in San Antonio. Des Moines is very similar. Des Moines, very small team, very small airport leadership team, as you might expect, but fully engaged. They lead their program. And we sit in their offices. We have one person full-time. We have additional people part-time because that's what they asked us for. And we perform extension of staff services and report directly to the airport leadership team. So those are just 2 examples. Charlotte, we have people sitting, doing program controls, doing the same thing, sitting right with the project management team permanently for multiple years. So it's extension of staff work is what we do, as Daryl said.
Okay. Well, this whole project, as you know, this phase 1, it really is turning into and can be a multi-year effort, okay? Because it's our biggest. And I guess my question is, what is the longer-term commitment of you, the project manager? I mean, if this takes multi-year, are you going to be able to dedicate and stay on it? Because being a national firm, I'm sure you're probably pulled in a lot of directions. And I see you've got a lot of experience, but you've only been with this firm for 1 year? Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct?
Yes.
So do you have the power to call the troops in if you need the troops here and resolve something and get on top of it and
Yes,
keep us moving? Because that's the whole
without a doubt.
here
Yeah,
is get this on project, get it going, and
I will be the principal in charge. I will be fully accountable and able to call in all the resources that I might require or that you and your team might require. And we can flex that, bring it. We also have trusted network partners that we can bring in. But yes, I would be committed to you as required to make sure this project is done successfully.
okay, thank you. One other question, which I think is important. Do you currently have any agreements or contracts with our Atkins Realist or Manhattan Construction? Are you working with them on anything that could cause a conflict of interest of you representing this staff in this port?
We do not.
Okay. There you go.
Robbie,
Yes.
what do you think might be some of the problems you're gonna face?
Which day?
Okay.
You know, large capital programs, you are faced with challenges and opportunities every day. And I think some of the challenges that we're going to have here, the interface between your phase 1 and phase 2, and making sure we're maintaining complete synergy of the operational environment so that your operations are completely seamless to your customers and the airlines. For me, somebody that would be leading a program was to make sure that whatever we are doing keeps that as the number one priority, is to make sure your stakeholders are satisfied and we understand what they demand of you as their caretakers before we keep marching down this path. And we understand it and we put a plan in place to make sure that we've got mitigations, plan Bs and plan Cs, especially out on the ramp. Up in the terminal, those are places where you're engaging with air traffic and you're engaging with passengers, right? And those things are extremely important.
I guess I don't understand, like, I don't think any of you said you lived here. Nobody really from your firm lives here, or do they?
No,
Okay.
no.
So in your typical week, do you wait from somebody here to call and say, we need you? Or
No.
how is that handled when you're all the way in Panama?
Well, what we would do is we would sit with your team, make an assessment, how much of my time you need me here, and we need to be here, then that's when I'll be here. I won't be in Panama City. I'll be here supporting this team in the offices with you. You've told us that you have places where we can sit. So that's where we'll be sitting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe even more direct answer to that question. If we need to have people that live here full-time during the course of the project, we can make that happen. We're not making assumptions is the problem. We don't actually know exactly what you want or need yet.
Right.
We think the first step is to sit with the staff and really understand what they need. If it means a full-time construction manager, that is here, then we figure that out. If it's a full-time project manager, if it's part-time project controls that can be done partly here and partly elsewhere because it's mostly computer-based work, then we make that happen and keep the cost down. So what we'd like to do is work with the team and figure out what you actually want, and then we can provide that. We're not opposed to placing people here.
Okay.
We're just not making any assumptions.
Okay.
So when this RFQ went out, it was clearly defined the scope of services, and it's a lot. You know, I don't know if you want me to read it, but it's a lot.
A lot of variety.
So I think
Yeah.
there's a kind of in the RFQ, a layout of the needs. And So my question is, when you pull firms in, yes, your firm's nationally known. Yes, you've got 40-something years experience. You've got a team. None do live here. But how much of this contract are you going to have to sub out? Or do you have all the expertise under your roof of all your employees that when we engage you, we know we're working with experience and not some subcontractor?
Well, and that's fair. I can tell you without a doubt, we have the capability within our firm to manage all of those services.
Okay.
Now, one of the things I said at the beginning is there's also a desire sometimes to partner with local firms. And the RFP in it clearly stated that you want this firm to act as a broker too. So we didn't make the assumption that it was going to be all our staff, but we do have the capability to provide all of those core services. We can do that.
Okay.
We would have to identify the right folks and get them here. But we have done all of those services at other airports and other clients, including locally.
Yeah, and I think like Dan was saying, we don't want to make any assumptions, and we want to create the team that makes the most sense for you.
Any other questions?
One of the questions, you, I believe I saw you had some recent projects in Lee County. Could you tell me a little bit about that, what they were, what you had to do?
You talking about Daryl or the
Oh, no, just the
hurricane
company
stuff?
in general. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk about
well, I
hurricane
don't really know.
So we'll talk about a couple different things. We have a team here in Fort Myers working on Hurricane Ian relief. We work both for the county public school district, and we work for Lee County directly doing hurricane relief projects. So repairs, program management of repairs and assessments. That's been ongoing, obviously, for a couple of years now. Starting to wind down, actually. So
it started after Ian, or?
Ian. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And then we also work for the FGUA locally, and as well as elsewhere in Florida. So there's people that work living locally here, working for FGUA on projects locally. And then Daryl has a history, and Tara has a history, and Andy has a history of working on other projects here in Lee County. I do not, but these folks all do have a past history of working on some projects. I'll let Daryl describe.
Yeah, my projects working in Lee County were not at this airport. They were actually just minor projects that really didn't have any aviation issues related to them. Tara worked with Florida Department of Transportation, and also, what was the water program name? Waste Energy Building, yeah. And Andy's got a lot of experience working with the hurricane relief teams, doing assessments and establishing the project costs so that they can budget for those. So those are the things that we've been doing here.
Okay,
Any other
thank you.
Okay.
So I think you have a minute to wrap up. Is that correct?
All right, 1 minute. All right, well, I hope that what you've seen from us is that we're a very collaborative team that wants to be integrated with you as a partner. We are from Florida. You know, we've got 2 people on our team that live, breathe, and work and play in Florida and practice our profession here. I think the important thing to understand is that
I beg your pardon.
I was trying to do it to music.
It's his doctor checking on him.
My goodness.
No problem.
Add some time on.
Yeah. But we do bring extensive experience delivering these sorts of programs. We're not afraid to tackle this project, I can tell you. It would be a great challenge and a great blessing to be able to do this job with you. We're ready to start now, today. If you need us today, we're ready to go. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You should tell them to send a message to the Board of Education to get Santa Rich Kids schools open. Oh, it's awful.
Sad with those kids.
I feel so bad for them.
Up next will be Parsons. And we've got the right slide there.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are Parsons. My name is Jeff Kaiser. I am the project sponsor for the Phase 1 program, which basically means to you that I will be supporting our team with whatever resources they may need to help you deliver Phase 1. With me today is our project manager, George Rios. I also have Sam Saad with us, Vanessa Artut, and Matt Farrand with us today. We all live and work in South Florida. This is where we are. We drove here today, and we can be here whenever you need us, at any time. We have a very rich history of aviation experience in South Florida. We've managed over $4 billion worth of work here in South Florida. A lot of it I have to attest to this team. A lot of that work is included at Miami International, at Fort Lauderdale, and then here, your baggage project at Fort Myers. So let's talk about our success factors that are going to help us in delivering Phase 1. Our team has already performed a significant project reset in that of Miami International Airport, and we have a good story to tell from that George is going to fill you in on a little bit more. We have a lot of lessons learned that we took away from that and that we can apply to your program. We also have significant contracting experience. All of us have nearly a 50-50 split in our careers of being contractors and program managers. What does that mean to you? That means that we have 360-degree views of the issues and situations. We can look at it from both sides of the table. We can say, you know, what if I were in his shoes? What would I want out of this? Where would I go with this? It really helps solve the issues and move the program forward. Lastly, our team has a broad spectrum of project controls. Each member of our team has a specialty in their wheelhouse, be it scheduling, or be it cost controls, or be it everything that George has that can benefit the project. This really lends to helping resolve issues that a project reset has and advancing your project forward. So I'm going to turn it over to George now, who's going to tell us a little more.
So I'm George Rios. I'm going to be your project manager. I am a civil engineer by trade. I have 34 years of professional experience, 17 of those in South Florida working with Parsons. I am an expert troubleshooter. I love problems. I love solving things. Parsons has sent me all over the world for the last 10 years helping projects, that need the help. I look forward to working here. It's a beautiful area. It's a beautiful airport. East Coast is a little now too crowded for my taste, and I would love to be here. Relevant project experience is, I'm going to talk about two FLL, Fort Lauderdale International and Miami International. What I did here, I was a program manager for Terminal 1. We centralized the checkpoint, right, for TSA. We built a brand new 5-gate Concourse A. We built a vaulted roof that connected A, B, and C. Huge trusses. They were over 150 foot. We did a lot of structural work, so it was a very complicated project from the structural point of view. We took the cool water lines to the new terminal, fuel for the airplane, and we did all this on time and on budget for Southwest Airlines. That was about $300 million. Miami North Terminal, I'll talk in a minute, but basically this was a huge expansion of the North Terminal, $1.2 billion. It was an active airport, so there was coordination every single day with ops and security. And because we restructured it and the reset that we did, there were no claims. So that was an enormous success story. We were Project of the Year for ENR in 2013. So we have that to show. What else do we have that's very rare? We have almost the same staff for 20 years, going from Miami North Terminal to the runway to Terminal 1 that I did. And now Jeff is actually now doing the Terminal 5. So what's the knowledge of local conditions? So we're in the same geographic area, right? So what does that mean? We share the same utility companies, the same ADO for the FAA, which is managed in Orlando. We understand hurricane preparedness. We are experts in preparing for storms and working after storms. We also share South Florida Water Management District. And we also share other little things that are unique to this area. Remember, we're your neighbors from the East Coast. Miami North Terminal. So what happened there? We get it. So what happened is that when the North Terminal started, it was broken down to a lot of little pieces, like a puzzle. At the interface of those pieces, there had to be coordination. And probably they were not very set up for that. So RFI started accumulating changes. We couldn't process the changes fast enough. They couldn't process the changes fast enough, I'm sorry. And then the project collapsed, right? Because there was no money for the subs. Money was not flowing. We came in, we understood what was going on, right? And then we said, okay, we're gonna change the procurement method. We're going to hire everybody back, and we're gonna come up with a reliable, feasible schedule so that we know when you're gonna have commercial operations, airlines are gonna be using the terminal again, because that's important for cash flow. So that's what we did. So what were the lessons learned in Miami International? Basically, we understand the problem, analyze it, sit down with you, explain it to you. We come to an agreement, and then that's what we do. In Miami specifically, we had to change the procurement type. So some of them was lump sum. Some of it had to do time and material because of the circumstances. And most importantly, where we stress a lot is the recovery schedule, because that's what's going to guide you, your agreements with the airlines, everything that has to do with ops and security has to be in a schedule that everybody can buy into and believe. What do we propose to do here? Well, in about 10 weeks, we plan to come here, read all the emails, read all the contracts, sit down with you, understand what happened, right? Then formulate a recovery, right? And then what else do we have to do? We have to price it and put it into a schedule. So that's the last part, because once we understand what has to be done, we have to provide a reliable method of delivering that to you. So additional resources, what do we have? We have outside counsel and claims specialists if needed. I'm not sure if you need it. Structural and other specialty engineering. We have over 800 engineers in Parsons. We just acquired BCC Engineering in Miami, which added another 450 people. We have in-house engineers for everything that you could possibly imagine, and it's all in-house. And then the backbone of all this is scheduling, estimating, and cost. We're going to provide a method so that we can control this and deliver it to you the way you need it. DBEs, we have a long history. It's a core value in Parsons. We either meet or exceed goals, so these are all aviation projects. Something special we did at North Terminal was we took the DBEs, we actually made a university for them. We taught them how to write letters, put schedules together, and they graduated, and some of them are no longer DBEs, they're now full-fledged contractors, because that's our effort and commitment to that. And
Okay. And to wrap things up, the three things that I'd like to make sure that you take away from you is we have significant project experience with a project reset. We know what situations like this need. We have significant contracting experience to address the issues, and we have a broad spectrum of project control skills that are needed to address this job. So we understand this is a staff augmentation. We're following your lead, but we're here to advise you and support you. And with that, I'd be happy to open it to questions.
Excellent. Questions?
Yeah.
John?
What is your firm ownership? Are you privately owned
We are a publicly traded company.
as Parsons?
Yes, yes. Okay. In fact, we were an employee-owned company up until 2019, and we went public then. We had an IPO in May of 2019, and we went public.
Okay. Have you had relationships with Manhattan or Atkins in the past?
In the past, yes, we have. Currently, we do not.
Okay. What types of things did you do with them?
Well, with Atkins, we have had several contracts where we've either been the lead for them or they've been the lead for us in various types of different situations all around the country.
Okay. And what is your commitment, as best as you can estimate at this time, in terms of personnel location? And I'm really thinking about who's going to be here, or if not here, how quick we can get a hold of them, and that, that kind of stuff.
Well,
I'm an hour and 15 minutes away. So if I need to commute here every day, actually, I would like to live here. So if you guys pick me,
I have a
it
condo.
wouldn't be an issue.
I do
with
have a
that.
condo for sale.
All the stuff you see here is about an hour, 15 minute away drive. So it would not be an issue for us to commute here. In fact, there are longer drives in Miami with the traffic. Trust me.
That's all I have, Mr.
Right.
Madam Chairman.
Scott, do you have a question?
No, I'm good, thank you.
I'm good too, I think. I don't understand the location with any of it, but, you know,
Doral,
getting here and where are you, an hour and 15 minutes, where are you, Miami?
Yes,
Oh, you're,
yes,
and you can get here in an hour and 15
yes,
in season.
yes.
well, we might be stretching
so
it a little.
I've commuted a lot. Trust me with that.
Okay,
Up to an hour and a half, hour 45. It's longer, but I can commute here. If you tell me I have to be here tomorrow, I don't have to fly. I just get in my car and be here. If you need me 5 days, I'd be more than happy to be here 5 days, or 2 months, or 2 years. All the staff that we have here is available full-time, if needed, for any duration that you need.
We live here, we work here, we're not planning on leaving. We all like it here.
okay. Well, I heard you say you'd like to move here.
I'm sorry?
I heard you say you'd like to be here.
Yes, it's a lot nicer. I mean, I live in a nice area, don't get me wrong, but I think that the space, the openness of everything here is, it looks a lot nicer to me. I live in a high-rise condo, and it's just not the same.
Okay.
Well, aside from the project having encountered some significant delays, I'd really like to hear what you foresee as some of the biggest challenges coming in at this point in time.
So the biggest challenges I would say is that you have stopped your processes, right? I don't know why, right? But this is a current occurrence, is a large program, right? Something happens, it's not streamlined, there's a choke point, right? Identify that, propose a solution, and make it work. In Miami, that's what happened, right? Unprocessed changes, they were hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars not paid. The contractors were out of money, and they just threw their arms up and said, I'm not working here anymore because you're not paying. So we need to understand that, right? It's a process, understand the process, make the process better, more fast, more efficient, keep the money flowing, right? Because contractors are not going to finance this themselves. I would see that as a big problem. If you have claims, then how well have the claims been documented, right? How well were their RFIs, how well was your schedule updated? Can you tell what happened a certain day that somebody claimed that something happened, right? The documentation for your daily construction reports. Can you tell what happened in such a place, such a day? And then 5, is it justified? Does it have merit? Do you understand the contract well enough to apply merit? And then I would take all that and then present it to your board for your change board, your board for change approval, justify and say, okay, I'm justifying this because it delayed the schedule, it has merit, and I'm gonna recommend that you give this person X amount of days. Or I'm gonna tell you, this has no merit, right? And then I'm gonna recommend that you pay nothing, or you give no time. And then that can evolve into, I don't know if you have a dispute resolution board. I spent years of my life in dispute resolution boards, figuring that out. So I say, it's process and claims. I think that by now you have figured out what the problems with your structural issues are. I think you probably have a solution already. You just need to process it and enable it.
So it sounds like you've walked this walk.
Very much so.
Okay.
Yes.
Very much so.
And then the phase 2 is coming right behind it. And so I would think you would have to have a good understanding of that.
Yes.
So that the good transition. So are you prepared under your phase 1 contract to look at the whole big picture?
Yes.
To make sure that we're working with our
If you
staff
share it
and
with
whatnot.
me, I'd be more than happy.
We've read all about it,
Okay.
15 gates getting added on with a chiller plant and apron and roadway work that's the roadway work, the one really, that kind of blew my mind when you showed us that. That's a interesting idea, but yeah, we understand it, we get it, and we're prepared to do it. Again, to just add on what George said with the phase one thing, it boils down to two simple things. It's resolve issues, move money, and create simplified processes to make those two things happen. Everything else works itself out when you do that. You break it down, you simplify it, and you make it happen.
Okay, and I'll ask the same question. I do see that George has a lot of experience with this, but and the scope of this RFQ is pretty extensive. And just wondering, are you using your people, or are you going to have to sub out a lot? And are you familiar with the subs locally here?
With the exception of meeting the DB quotas, right, which we will, or exceed them.
Yeah. So you do
Everybody
forget
else
that.
would be Parsons. We're big enough and we have enough people. I can assure you that we can have the staff whenever you need it. And my commitment is to retire here, so Pastor, you.
Well, don't retire too soon, okay?
We were showing you the tip of the iceberg of what we do in Florida. That is literally the tip of the iceberg of what we do nationally and globally.
Okay, any other questions? No? All right, a minute to wrap up, please.
Okay, well, here it is. Here it is. It's really the big things is we have the staff that have done a project reset. We know how to set this up, go through the processes to do it. We have, again, the right contracting and program manager experience to have a 360-degree view of this, which just really helps when you can see both sides of a situation to resolve it, because you know that both sides have needs, and you're trying to meet them and make everyone happy and maybe a little bit sad too at the same time. And then our broad spectrum of project controls. Each member of our team has significant specialties in project controls, from setting up a program, from cost controls, from running project software to scheduling, all of them. Each one of us has some of those specialties, and we come together with George to bring it all together, because he's a little bit of everything.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Can I just ask one thing? What does it mean, project sponsor?
What that means basically is I'm here at your need. George runs the project.
Right.
He needs something that is bigger than him. He comes to me, I help him get it. I'm here for you if you ever have any additional needs, but George runs the project. I'm a support person.
Okay.
He
Thank
talks
you.
to upper management, basically.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
I
Appreciate it.
appreciate the
Thank you.
opportunity. Thank you very much.
Closing out today will be Steve and Michael representing Ankara.
Yes, sir.
And make sure you got the right slide deck.
You're good to go. We're good to go. Understood. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us here today. My name is Steve Pitnello. I'm accompanied with my colleague, Mike Gaspar. We represent Ankara Consulting. I lead our global construction consulting practice at Ankara, and I'm here today as the executive because unfortunately our project manager had a conflict that we could not get out of, unfortunately, given the timing. But I wanted to take a minute to allow Melissa to introduce herself. Melissa Maria Evola would be our project manager for this assignment.
Melissa Maria Evola. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to present our skills to your group today. I apologize sincerely for not being able to be there today, but I will be your project manager if we're selected on this team. I'm very excited to help you and your team succeed in this project. Specifically, I've been a senior managing director with our group for almost 30 years, and I've worked on major capital projects throughout the U.S. I have specifically chosen our team of individuals to help me help you work through this project. You've met Mike Gaspar already. He's been working with me over the last 4 years at JFK and LaGuardia, and has been my right-hand man in getting through schedule and cost issues. In addition to that,
Hello, my name's Mike Gaspar. I'd like to first thank the committee and the Port Authority for allowing us to be here today. It's been great to learn about all the great improvements that you are doing here at RSW. To give you a brief background on myself, I've been in the construction industry for almost 25 years now, and I've held pretty much every kind of role you can think of, from flag person to project manager and now consulting. As Melissa mentioned, the last 4 years I've worked right next to her at LaGuardia and JFK, providing support services to Delta Airlines directly. Before we move on to the next slide, we did want to talk about the other names there under plan resources. Looking at all the scope services in the RFQ, we identified 6 different work streams that we think that we are able to help on. These individuals here, our colleagues, full-time anchor people, they are able to, would be able to scale up, would be able to handle tasks that pop up in these areas. And they would be able to, we can be able to scale up or scale down. And this client should really appreciate that because it's cost effective to them. Us as a team, we don't need to have 8 or 9 full-time people. We can use people as needed. Another great factor in that is that by doing that, by having our colleagues here work on those tasks, it allows Melissa and myself to focus on what's most important right now and getting phase 1 completed. So let's look at what we see ourselves here. Here is the phase 1 project team. Obviously, we have the major stakeholders. We have the Port Authority program leadership. And then we see ourselves next to the CM and design consultants. We see ourselves being shoulder to shoulder with those 2 entities. Typically what we see is that we need to be that way. We're not here to be adversarial. We're not here to be big brother. The other people, the other entities here who are delivering this project need to know that we're here to collaborate, we're here to open communication, and we're here to help drive the project to completion. So how do we do that? So here's our proven approach. So first, we start with goal alignment. Basically, it's talking to all the stakeholders. It's talking to the port leadership. It's talking to your CM. It's talking to your project managers. It's talking to your design team. Let's figure out what the goals are, objectives. A lot of times we don't see, our experience that we don't see that clearly communicated, and that gets into a lot of issues down the road. After we have that transparency and goals and objectives all lined out, we start developing our plan. How are we going to plan to get this job completed at this point? And by having that goal alignment discussions, real heart to heart with them, they'll have people, all the stakeholders have buy-in to this plan. By having buy-in to this plan, they will be held accountable. Now, and after that, we will execute the plan, and we'll have monitoring tools to make sure that the project keeps on track. Now, this project's a little bit different because there is, not that we haven't seen it, but there is a major project recovery effort going on. But it's still in line with what we do. We'll re-baseline the schedule, we'll get the plan together, and we'll move on.
And I just want to add in before we go to the next slide is everyone's talking about claims and disputes, and hopefully those all get settled out. But it's, the fact is, the rest of my team as well, what we've named here and others, we're steeped in forensic analyses and disputes resolution, whether formal or informal.
Okay, so let's talk about RSW's program goals right now. So from our understanding, what we see, there's 2 major aspects right now that the committee and the leadership has to look at. First is obviously restarting work on phase 1. Looking ahead, we have to draw a line in the sand, look ahead, get this plan done, get buy-in from everyone, and get that executed. But the second part of it is looking back, is looking at what has happened, resolving that. From our experience, it's going to be hard to get a CM to buy in to a new plan unless they understand what they're going to have for what's happened before. You know, we need a clean start. We need a line in the sand. So there's a parallel path here. It's looking forward and looking back, and that's critical to RSW's goals right now. After we get that done and we're looking ahead, we're going to monitor the project, right? We'll again, shoulder to shoulder with your project teams, your leadership team. We'll have an open dialogue, transparency, talk to everyone. We'll look at data that's being produced. We'll make sure that data that the CM is supposed to be producing is producing it. And from there, we'll be able to, one, identify potential impacts. We'll be able to analyze those impacts. And then at that point, we can provide and help develop mitigation strategies. We can also look at different ways of what return on investment analysis. Would you want to sacrifice schedule for cost? Would you want to sacrifice cost for schedule? You know, things that we can look at, but that involves us being here, communicating and having collaborative process. And then finally, we've talked about phase two. We understand this is a phase one support services, but obviously phase two is critical to the overall program goals. One thing that we saw when we were putting this together, we kind of, this from my understanding, right, there's been a 12-month delay, at least. So 2025 worries us because we are seeing now that there's going to be a humongous strain on airport resources. And how are we going to deal with that? And part of that is working with the phase two team and phase one team and always have that open communication as well.
And then and again, since Melissa's not here, I thought it was important that you understood some of the real spot-on experience and where we've been here and done this before, especially Melissa. So I'm going to move to, I thought I was going to move. There we are. So a little to Melissa's. This is also part of our our response, but it's a little bit more detail on some of the projects.
Hello again. I wanted to talk a little bit about specifically my project experience. On this slide, you'll see about 5 different major capital projects that I've been personally involved with over the last 15 years. In all 5 of these examples, I represented the owner and essentially brought the skills of having teams work together to row in the same direction. And what I mean is by helping align all the stakeholders, getting them and their mindsets focused in on delivering a successful project, communicating complicated risks and a path forward on how to analyze them, essentially work through them, and get the team to work together. All of these examples, we dealt with these similar problems, and we got each of the teams to work together, which is fundamental in helping deliver a schedule and a project and a budget. Specifically, the 2 airport projects that I've worked on in the last 4 years, we took complicated issues such as working through COVID, and we used them to our advantage to mitigate schedule risk, to help the owner and all project stakeholders to rework, rethink, and redevelop a new plan forward to actually deliver LaGuardia specifically on time. In addition, if you take JFK as an example, we figured out how to keep the airport open and work consecutively over 2 years to piece together a project that could be done seamlessly as the airport was still.
Sorry, we went over time. She was almost done. 10 minutes is a tough scheduling to plan out, actually. So we'll turn it over to any questions.
Thank you. All right. Don, you want to start?
How much experience, I'll just say Florida experience, has Melissa had?
Melissa's had Florida experience, not in aviation, but we've dealt with a lot of projects out of Miami, which are large capital projects, Miami World Center being one, the Grand Prix racetrack around Miami Dolphin Stadium. Her experience at Hudson Yards in New York City, and that was with related companies, and Stephen Ross's company brought her to Miami specifically for the Grand Prix track that he built around the Miami Dolphin Stadium.
And,
There's a couple examples.
oh, excuse me.
Sorry.
When will she be available for this project?
She is available. She wasn't available today, and I understand that, but she's available for the project. She had a site walk in North Dakota that she had to be on.
Okay. And your firm ownership?
Firm ownership, it's a partnership where the partnership owns roughly 30% of the firm, and then we're private equity, so I'm backed.
Have you had experience with Manhattan and Atkins in your past projects?
So we have not had experience with Atkins or Manhattan. We have no conflicts now. I'll say half of our business is also in expert witness claims consulting as well. So I think over the course of the past 30 years of working together, we've probably run across them, but not working for them.
Okay. And should you be successful, how would you plan on locating personnel that are, you know, project manager and her direct reports?
So I think, and Mike, you can jump in too, I think what happens is we're committed to the project and we would move people down here if we had to move people down here. What we found through all of our other experience is working with this team, right? The Port Authority team. We devise not only just saying what you need, but work together to figure out what everyone needs and what the commitment is, time here on site or not. Someone else mentioned the same thing. Some things can be done part-time. Right now, what we see and what we would expect is a large on-site effort to get everything back into the baseline to move forward. And then we would work with you all and the development team to figure out how to staff from there on in, as far as how much on site versus how much not on site. And we would expect that over the course of this project, there's going to be heightened times where there's a lot of people and times where there's not. And that's why we came up with a team and proposed a team that is a subset of the entire construction consulting team at Ankara that can plug in and unplug based on what's happening at the time, just to be cost effective and efficient for the authority.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Randy? Any
No, I'm
questions?
good, thank you.
Randy?
Where is Melissa located?
Melissa's out of New York City.
Okay, and she would be the project coordinator,
She'd be the project manager.
manager?
She'd be the project
Yeah.
manager. We actually, as a consulting company, right, we will go where our clients and our work is, and we're assigned to an office closest to where we actually live. So as I said, right now, she's wrapping up a project in North Dakota. A lot of our professionals, senior professionals, don't do a lot of work in the areas in which they live, just the nature of our business.
Okay, so does any of your team live here or closer than New York?
Yes, so a couple of the other key support staff, one is in Tampa and one is in Miami. We have people in Tampa, Miami, there's 40 people in Florida. But
Okay.
it's the people that we thought would be best suited for the scope of work that was outlined here, we put onto this team.
Okay.
Stop. Questions? Okay. So tell me, what do you feel that your biggest strengths to, for us to say that you're the one to take this project and run with it?
And I'm sorry, the biggest,
Your biggest strength to bring to this project?
well, I think what happens is we have, and I think if you go through the recommendations that our team has had and others, troubled projects is where we swim the fastest. We come in, we analyze, we work with teams. We're not here to push anyone aside and Mr. Fix It or Mrs. Fix It. We're here to work to get to a solution. And I believe talking about, that's why we really wanted to accent that we see ourselves as part of the project team, not, you know, adversarial with Manhattan or Atkins and just fighting and fighting and fighting. How do we get everyone aligned? Because after this restart, we would think it's our, right? We don't want to do this again. So whatever we come up as a team, right, with a schedule and a revised budget, there's going to be other impacts that no one's thinking about or possibly we don't know what would happen. But how do you handle those through the process? So we are our experience, and we're called upon by our clients, including Delta Airlines, who's taken us to 3 different airports now, right, with a team that is good at what we do, obviously, great at what we do, efficient and effective, and collaborative. I think that's the biggest thing, for sure.
Okay. You have
Go
a
ahead.
minute to
No,
wrap up.
Okay, I was going to just piggyback on that.
Oh,
I
okay.
think another strength of ours is communication. It's communication, right? We know a role and we know how to communicate it. I think one thing we do really well is we take a lot of data, complicated data, and simplify it. So the key decision makers like yourselves and the Port Authority leadership team will understand what's going on at any time. And I think sometimes these complicated projects, you just simplify it. And I think that's what we do really well too.
Thank you. Would you like to have a minute to wrap up, please?
Sure. So I think, you know, I recognize that we do not have a huge staff sitting here in Lee County. We don't believe we need to have a huge staff sitting here in Lee County in order to deliver this because we've been there and done that before. Our project manager is steeped in aviation experience and other major U.S. capital projects doing the same work. However, with aviation, Mike, Melissa, and the rest of the team understand airport operations. We understand some of the potential risks relative to phase 2 and phase 1 being disconnected and how that's going to go forward to make sure the program's successful, not just phase 1. And we're ready, willing, and able to assist. And we just want to thank you for having us down here today and giving us an opportunity to present ourselves.
Thank you for making an application.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, so if we'd all like to vote.
Madam Chair,
Thank you. Yes, sir?
we do need to do public comment prior to the vote.
Oh, before the vote?
Yes.
Yikes, okay. Is there any public comment regarding this administrative item, please? Before they walk away with it today. Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Counselor. All right, so while they're tabulating, I'll move on down the agenda, and I see executive director items. Do you have anything?
Just real quick, I would like to thank you all for adjusting your schedules so we could have this session today. It was very important to move the process along, and we appreciate your flexibility.
Thank you. I think it was worthy to have this one all on its own. So. Okay, Port Attorney.
No items, Madam Chair.
Other than keeping me on track. All right. Any comments from the airport special manager?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Good. Fran, good?
I had nothing good.
Good?
Good.
Okay.
The only thing I'd like to say is I think we're very fortunate to have 3 such fine companies
Absolutely.
interested in this airport.
Very much so.
Absolutely. And there were more than that, you know, who made applications, so sure it was really tough nailing it down. And I do see that we have some public comment on other matters, and that would be Miss Mary Polker. Is she still here? Yes. Mary? Okay, if you'd like to take the podium and introduce yourself, and you have, I think, 3 minutes for public comment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, members of the committee and Lee County Port Authority. Thank you. I didn't know I would have the opportunity to speak, but I'm going to say real quick, I don't even know if I'll fill 3 minutes. I represent 4 generations of a family that have served the demand line. My brother John Polker worked at Page Field, and then in '86 we were summoned by the airport, our RSW, to help Sunlines out. And we then had Apple Taxi and Majestic Transportation. We worked month to month for 20 months, and then in 2006, we bid it on, that's the last time I actually stood up here, I think, and we bid on the contract for MBA. So on the other end of the spectrum, we're on our way out the door. We have 9 days left. We understand, you know, things come to an end, but however, we have been meeting with the airport several times and trying to explain to them some of the detrimental things that have happened to us. The industry change, the pandemic, the hurricanes, and I don't see that anything we had to say went anywhere. So I took a long time before I would come before the board. We just had it go out yesterday, which I don't usually get, that there was a meeting. So I'm glad to just stop in here. So I still feel that we have a lot to say on our way out the door. There's a lot of things that are going on. We only have 9 days left. We have scuff marks on a car. I guess we missed it. It's been hard. My daughter's been working overtime 24/7. She's now at the booth a couple days a week because we had to let some people go. we actually couldn't get the proper health. I'd have to say that we did go, down a bit for the model that we did create in 2006. The first 5, 6 years were absolutely excellent, but I just feel that I have a, I don't know, it's difficult. It feels like a death, to tell you the truth. I'm 38 years of working at the airports. It's a long time. So we still want to operate here, but we're kind of under a little bit of a threat that due to some setbacks financially, we're being told that we might not even be able to operate out here at all. So I'm looking for some direction. I thought perhaps maybe the next meeting I could speak longer or present it to the joint board. I'm not sure. I forget how that process works. But I've met with Steve Harrington several times, and I've been, as I said, putting this off, to follow the correct protocol. Thank you. I did that. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you.
Could I say something? Could I say something in response? I've known Mary and her family probably 30 years, and I can't say what an excellent job, she has done all those years, and all the time and effort she's put in, and how long she's been here. And I know that after John died, you had a lot of problems and a lot of things to see through, but thank you very much, Mary, for all that you've done, and I hope that you can continue to, have your business be back up on the top.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, ready?
Publish.
Is there any other public
I'm
comment?
so sorry.
It's okay.
Is there any other public comment? I only had one card, but that's okay. Any other public comment? All right, George, thank you.
Madam Chair, board members, again, Robert George for the record. And I too would like to echo what I've heard several staff members and board members say today. Thank you all. 3 excellent proposals received and presented today. I appreciate everyone attending. I especially appreciate the board, again, rearranging your schedules to accommodate staff in this matter. For the record, I would like to note for the presenters, we are still under an active evaluation period, so there is no lobbying in effect through the duration of the procurement solicitation. Today's presentation was part 1. Part 2 will be once a recommendation is made today, this will come back to a joint board for formal direction for staff to proceed. So again, if there is to be any communication, it is to be through our department, procurement. Mr. Benjamin Ware is the agent assigned to this, so all communications would be funneled back to him directly, not to any additional staff or board members. So with that said, in the matter of RFQ 24-0085 BW, Project Support Services, RSW, Terminal Expansion Phase 1, the ASMC has ranked in the following order. First place will go to Parsons Transportation Group, Inc. Second will go to Answer Advisory Consulting, LLC. And third will go to Acura Consulting Group, LLC. That concludes our presentations for today.
Thank
you.
So I think I take a motion and a second to
I'll
recommend
make
to
it.
the board.
I'll move the item for you.
I'll second it.
Second. All right, is there any public comment on this? Hearing none, all those approved?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Great job.
Okay, may I adjourn? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.